So you started with internship in Linux administration and cybersecurity, even working with cyber cell of Gurgaon Police. So what sparked your initial interest in technologies and security, and how did your early experience shape your career path?
First of all, I did one internship in the Linux. So before that, I learned about the Linux and the CES. So then, luckily, I got the.
Your career progression shows a clear move toward the specialization in DevSecOps field and cloud security. What motivates that transition and some of the key challenges you face in the developing expertise in these areas?
I got my first job as a DevOps engineer. And alongside, like, I got the job and I was working on a DevOps too. But there also they started with the Linux, Git, and Jenkins, Terraform, all the DevOps related tools. But when I get into the DevOps, I started, like, when I learned all the tools, I started having the interest in DevOps and the cloud. So eventually I learned the cloud as well. I started with AWS.
So you design and led advanced cloud security training with emphasis on Kubernetes and container security. What are the some most common security oversight you see in Kubernetes deployment, and what advice you would to give the organization looking to improve the Kubernetes security postures?
Creating or developing a training was really interesting task for me because I was looking into the more misconfiguration, like what and learning the new cloud as well. So I was just exploring research.
हेलो गाइस, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। मैं आप सबका अपना होस्ट नितिश। आज मैं फिर हाजिर हो गया हूँ अपने ब्रांड न्यू पॉडकास्ट के साथ। आज की हमारी गेस्ट है अंजलि। शी इज़ करेंटली वर्किंग एज अ क्लाउड सिक्योरिटी इंजीनियर एट फ्लिपकार्ट। सो आज हम उनकी जर्नी के बारे में जानेंगे। ये डिफरेंट कॉन्फ्रेंसेस का पार्ट रही हैं, वहाँ आपके एक्सपीरियंस और क्लाउड सिक्योरिटी, क्यूबरनेटिस सिक्योरिटी के बारे में जानेंगे इन जनरल। सो चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं विदाउट एनी डिले। सो हाय अंजलि, प्लीज इंट्रोड्यूस योरसेल्फ।
Hi Nitish. So I am Anjali and I have over 5 years of 5+ years of experience, and currently I am working as a senior security engineer, and I have expertise on AWS, GCP, so mostly cloud and DevSecOps. And on cloud, I have mostly work on the AWS and the GCP side of it, like what are the misconfigurations there, how to prevent your cloud infrastructure, how to do the auditing of it, and I'm into the I worked as a DevOps engineer as well. So I am well versed with all the tools and technologies related to the DevOps. I've worked on it, and then after some time I've started implementing the security in the DevSecOps CI/CD pipelines as well. And I am a Black Hat trainer. I have given my sessions and talks at Black Hat, CSA, Cocoon, Nalcon, um, and B-sides. And I am like recently I founded a Kubernetes village. And I write in my free time I write blogs and participate in the CTF.
So you started with internship in Linux administration and cybersecurity, even working with cyber cell of Gurgaon Police. So what sparked your initial interest in technologies and security, and how did your early experience shape your career path?
First of all, I did one internship in the Linux. So before that, I learned about the Linux and the CEH. And luckily, I got the internship as well through Internshala. So I started working there and learned about the how like basic commands over the Linux and then running a bash scripts. And there was one application on which I was working. And then I wanted to move into the cybersecurity. So I did another internship and Gurugram Police with Gurugram Police. So it was a summer internship program, 1 month internship, where we actually learned about the OSNT and how the cybercrime is taking place. What are the loopholes there? How can we prevent ourselves from us or others as well in our families? So I got interest in okay, like, this field is looking interesting and I should pursue further. So both of the experience were really good. In one, I got the technical experience of the Linux and the Bash and how the servers and everything services are working, and another related to the cybersecurity, how crimes and or like how organizations are getting impacted with us. So I decided to pursue it further, and the overall experience was really nice for me.
Your career progression shows a clear move toward the specialization in DevSecOps field and cloud security. What motivates that transition, and what were the some of the key challenges you face in the developing expertise in these areas?
So I got my first job as a DevOps engineer. So and alongside, like I got the job and I was working on a DevOps too. So but there also they started with the Linux, Git, and Jenkins, Terraform, all the DevOps related to. And side by side, I was playing CTFs and Linux CTFs and the web CTFs. So I was like continuously working on that as well. But when I get into the DevOps, I started like when I learned all the tools, I started having the interest in DevOps and the cloud. So eventually I learned the cloud as well. I started with AWS. So I thought of instead of going into the pen testing side, let's try security into the DevOps and the cloud as well, because I already have the knowledge of the backend, like how things work at the backend. So implementing security in those would be beneficial for me, and I would be able to I would be able to understand more. So I thought of pursuing it further, and then I implemented a security. Basically, I started looking the DevOps and the cloud from the security level, like what are the misconfigurations there, what go wrong in Jenkins and Terraform, and how to scan your code before deploying onto the AWS environment. Then what are the misconfigurations in the AWS? So as I said, I started with the AWS. So I'm looking into the AWS, like what are the misconfiguration there? What all the attacks that has been discovered so far in the AWS? And I really found it interesting. And then I thought, okay, currently I know only one cloud. Let's eventually move to the other cloud as well, like GCP and the Azure, and look those clouds from the security side of it, from the attack and the defensive side of it. So currently also I'm doing the same and pursuing the same path.
Okay, so you work with multiple cloud as you said, AWS, Azure, and GCP. What are the some of the key difference in security consideration for each of these platform? And do you have preferred cloud environment to work with from a security perspective?
So see, concepts are same in all three cloud, whether it is an AWS, Azure, or GCP, or any other cloud. But the services name can be different, and um, there can be a little change how we are accessing those services. Like we call virtual machines in Azure, and a compute engine in GCP, and EC2 in AWS. But similarly, they are the server at the end. So like we'll be connecting with the server, we'll be having an SSH key to look into that, and then there is a security group that we will use for the like basically restricting the traffic. So I have a good experience on AWS and GCP, and I'm working more towards the Azure as well. The key difference, I would say that you can, if you will look at the top of it, like in GCP, we have a multiple organization policy that we create to restrict the users and to prevent our environment, and it work on the organization level. And similarly, we have it in the Azure. But in AWS, we have a service control policy. Plus, AWS structure is little different. In AWS, we have multiple accounts, and then we treat that as a prod or staging and the non-prod. In Whereas in Azure and GCP, we have different within a single tenant and within a single account, we have a different subscriptions. So we can group basically, we have a single account in GCP and Azure, and then we can group it like one subscription, we can take it as a prod, another subscription as a non-prod, like this. And similarly, we can do it in the GCP as well. But whereas in AWS, you need to have a multiple accounts to if you want to keep segregated your environment. So that is a structural wise difference. Plus, there are a few differences between the this IAM, how the IAM works in AWS and how IAM works in the GCP. And then we have a RBAC role assignment in the Azure. So slight difference there in all three clouds. But when you'll actually go into it, you will find at least 50 to 60% the working of those are same. So you'll find it easy if you'll start with any cloud and then going to learn to the other cloud as well. And similarly, their attack scenario also work. Like we look into the traffic, whether it is a AWS, Azure, or GCP, we have to restrict the traffic. So we'll be following the basic rule, like what is the ingress and what is egress. We are looking into, are we whitelisting any IP, the port configurations we are saying. Security considerations are pretty much similar for all three clouds.
Okay. So you design and led advanced cloud security training with emphasis on Kubernetes and container security. What are the some most common security oversight you see in Kubernetes deployment, and what advice you would to give the organization looking to improve the Kubernetes security postures?
So creating or developing a training was really interesting task for me because I was looking into the more misconfiguration, like what and learning the new cloud as well. So I was just exploring, researching, taking a look. Okay, what has been discovered so far on which scenario I can create a lab, and basically other users can also experience it, that this attack or this misconfigurations occurred in the past, and we should not do it in the future. And when it comes to containers and the Kubernetes, if I would like to give a suggestions to other organization, then so we have a basics like we should always use the trusted images from the repository, because like from the base image we are using that image from a Docker Hub, and the source of that image is not known, like from where it was taken or who created that images, and there could be some malicious packages there in the base image itself. So always use a trusted image when it comes to a Kubernetes or the containerized environment. Then we have don't use any hard-coded credentials in the while creating a Docker file. Like we tend to give an endpoints or the API tokens, and we use these hard-coded credentials in the image itself, and then build that image and deploy it onto the production environment to for the easy going, basically to take a shortened path. But don't do that. Always to use the secret manager or a vault to store those credentials and then fetch on the runtime whenever like the image is deployed onto the production. Then the third is do not run your container or a pod as a root user, because in case that pod or container is compromised, attacker can directly leverage that a container or a pod running a root user, because it will be having a more privileges than running as a normal user. So always use a user with the minimal permissions to that. Then on the networking side, you can restrict when it comes to a Kubernetes, you can restrict the network basically traffic going from one space to another. We have a multiple RBAC role policy and the cluster policy that we can create. So and similarly, whenever like we are deploying our YAML files into the production, you can use a IAC security scanner for that. So that at least before deploying the pod, also you are scanning your configurations and keeping a track, okay, that nothing has been done or nothing secrets has been committed into the image, or no security context like running a pod with the privileges. These kinds of things are not running. So these are the few things that an organization can look into it.
Thank you. So you mentioned automating CloudTrail monitoring in AWS to prevent unauthorized deactivations. This sound like a critical security control. Can you provide bit more technical detail in how you implement this automation and challenges you overcome? And this would be a great real world example for a listener point of view.
So we have this requirement, and for that we I've set it up uh, using in an it was in the AWS environment. So the requirement was like whenever attacker disables the CloudTrail. So CloudTrail is a service in AWS which logs everything. So if there is an attack on your organization and attacker disable the CloudTrail, then you won't be having a logs, and how will you track it? So in case someone or internally by mistake, or if an attacker disables that, then how it will re-enable that? Because it should always checking that, okay, the CloudTrail should be logging it all the time. So I created a small automation for that, that in case the CloudTrail is disabled, it will be re-enabled, and it will send a notifications to our email that, okay, the CloudTrail was disabled at that point of time. So I used a multiple service in AWS. I used AWS config. So in config, you can create a rule that whether that what we have a multiple rules in AWS config, and AWS config is a service which keeps a track of it, like there's been changes in the IAM role, or there's been change in the CloudTrail status. Earlier it was enabled, or earlier it was disabled. So it'll keep a track of it. Basically, it keeps a track of whatever change in the in a service or in a resource is happening. So it'll basically keep a track of it. So I use those multiple services like AWS config, event bridge, and most like I basically use for the automation part. Like as soon as the CloudTrail is disabled, the alert will be triggered by the event bridge, and it will again trigger two functions. That one is the Lambda, which will enable the CloudTrail, and the SNS that to send a notification. So it was a complete flow from end to end, like what will happen and basically how you will auto remediate or re-enable that CloudTrail.
Okay. So you've been a trainer at major security conference like Black Hat. What are the most important lessons you tried to impart to your student, and especially those who new to this field, cloud security field, and what are the common question and misconception you encounter for those learning about cloud security?
So yeah, I have delivered many trainings, and my main target was that whoever coming into our training, at least he should have a basic understanding of whatever we are basically we are trying to teach them, like what are the basics of cloud and how the attacking taking place, or what are the misconfigurations that can be happening into their cloud, because whatever information they are taking from us, they'll be implementing into their organizations to secure their organize to secure their infrastructure. So our motive was to give them as much as knowledge we can provide to them regarding the attack or the misconfigurations, auditing and the defense side of it. Because um let's say someone gets into the environment and there is an attack onto your infrastructure, but how to save yourself from that? That is the main questions. How to prevent such attack and happening in the future. So main motive was this only. And we like I really liked it whenever I interact with the other people, because it's a kind of a knowledge sharing. Something that I am aware of, I'm telling them, and something they are aware of, they are telling me that okay, this is the thing that we have. And if they have ever come across such kind of an attack or such kind of a misconfigurations by during the deployment or in the internal side of it. So that's a really interesting thing that I like. And because as I said that I get to learn more even when I am teaching them, or when I am giving I'm sharing my experience with others, because in return I also get something from them, and that is another example, good example, their experiences that.
Okay, so you kill dedicated time to mentoring and knowledge sharing through activities like creating training labs and contributing open source project and writing blog posts. So what is the aspect of giving back to the community important to you?
That is really important, because when I was starting or when I was learning, everyone supported me. I really had very good mentors who always taught me like do this and learn any tool, or learn if I'm facing any kind of a challenges. I always have people supporting me, teaching me like okay, you should do this, or this is not the correct way, you should try this. You'll find a better result. Plus there was a lot of open source knowledge available, Google, YouTubes, and other platforms as well. So that is why I thought that if someone is looking for a change, or he's trying something new into their domain and stuck with some point, at least someone or the community should be there to help him out. Or there should be enough information. Let's say I'm not I'm let's say I'm integrating some of the AWS services, and I don't find enough resources, so I thought of writing a blogs on them, so that even I find if even I am integrating the same thing again in the future, let's say 2 year or 3 year down the line, at least I should have a resource. Plus if someone else also integrating the same, he should have a resource to go through it step by step, like how to do it. Because sometimes if you're not able to find a correct resource, it's very challenging to done or to take something forward. So that is why I always write blogs and like mentors, because freshers have generally this doubt that how to start with cloud security, and how to start with DevSecOps, and what to do next, what are the skills that we can develop during our college time. So I really like all these like mentorship and the contributing to the society uh, in an open source environment.
You won the AWS Party Rock Generative AI Hackathon with the project called AI powered infrastructure as a code security scanner. So can you tell us more about this project and what inspired the idea, and how did you use AI to enhance infrastructure as a code security scanning?
Like I said that like I used to write Terraform code for the environment. So scanning that Terraform code was really necessary. because we have that confidence, okay, before deploying onto the production or onto the live environment, at least we are looking into our code that whether it is secured or as per compliant or not. So there's a tool called Chaco, and I really like that tool. I got inspired by that tool, and I thought of designing the same kind of a scenario. So this tool was about like if you will put a Terraform code, a small snippet or any your file into that tool, it will give the misconfigurations and the basically the baseline, like what can be done to improve that particular piece of Terraform code to a better. So that tools revolves around that only. If we provide a file or a input to it, it will give you an output, basically scan that particular code and give you the security alerts, or not alerts, findings that, okay, these are the things that are there in the code and that can be changed.
Your presentation at KubeCon 2023 focus on AWS Lambda penetration testing. So serverless computing is becoming increasingly popular. Can you share more some of the unique security challenges and attack vector you explore in your presentation, and what advice would you give to developer building serverless applications?
Yeah, so that was a session at AWS, like pen testing AWS serverless applications. And in that we covered the like what is the basics of a serverless. Basically, serverless is like without a server, but there is actually a server running in the backend. The control is in the hands of a cloud provider. That is a small meaning of serverless. So so that session was more about what are the possible if there is an application running on a serverless, from the external side, how can we attack or how can we look if there is a bug or if there is a some vulnerability present into that particular application. So there was a like I think 8 to 9 scenarios that we have covered, using the environment variable, accessing the metadata APIs, looking for the secrets, such kinds of basically if there is an SSRF into that application, or if there is an RC onto that application, or if you will do a try to do a DOS attack onto an application running on the serverless, then what will basically what kind of an output you will get, and how you will identify that there is a vulnerability exist in that particular application or not. So that was a scenario, hands-on scenario onto that.
You presented on Google Cloud Platform Identity Awareness Proxy for those who new to GCP security. Can you explain how Identity Awareness Aware Proxy works and why it is important security layer, and what are the some best practices for implementing and managing IAP effectively?
So IAP was is the identity aware proxy. It's kind of a service that like I liked because it is helping to solve a variety of challenges. So IAP is kind of, so let's say if you would like to give access to the contractor or a third party vendors to your environment, then what you will do, either you will whitelist their IP or you will provide in VPN and give them access like this. The basically these kinds of solutions that you will take care of. But with the help of an IAP, you just have your application running and you have to basically enable IAP onto that application. So application can be on Compute Engine, Kubernetes, App Engine, Cloud Run. You just have to enable IAP in front of it, and that's it. Authentication and the authorization will be taken care by the Google. And the two things you have to do actually, first you have to enable the IAP, and the second you have to provide a permission. There is a permission in the Google, which is IAP web secured user. That permission you have to give it to the user. Now, if there are group of user, you can give that permission to a group, or if there is a service account, you can give access to the service account. Plus, it is very helpful if you have a UI based application, because user will just come in, um, provide their email ID and password, and then they'll be authenticated to access the application. Second, authorization will come. Now, for the authorization, IAP server will check that if there is a particular IAM role, a specific IAM role is attached to this server, this user or not. If yes, then you will be authorized and you can access the application. So we are not managing anything. Everything is managed by the Google's IAP authentication and authorization server and the IAM role. So it's very easy when you integrate these kinds of a service, because you are reducing your basically you're reducing the complexity, and it's good for the users and like vendors and the basically the customers as well.
You were the Q member of the DEF CON Cloud Village in 2022. What was the experience like? What are the some takeaways or highlights from those involvement?
So yeah, like I volunteered for the like Cloud Village. So when I generally we have one kickoff meeting for the Cloud Village. So at that time, the sections are basically the introduction of the Cloud Village, and then what we are going to do, what are our responsibilities is decided. So at that time, I was thinking like what to do. I'm not like I was new to the CTF creations things. So at that time, I volunteered for the infrastructure creation because I know that I can do the Terraform thing. I can do it. I have done it before. So let's try start with this, and then gradually we'll take a like gradually I thought of doing the creating of the CTF challenges as well. So overall experience was really nice. I got to know lot number of people. I worked on the infrastructure thing, and then I actually looked into the back end of it, like how the CTF are getting created, how we are deploying it to the infrastructure, and how are we managing the infrastructure when you have a large amount of number of people, because they if when the CTF is live, you have multiple people participating in the Cloud Village CTF, and trying to break the basically they just want a flag in any of the way. So they whatever whatever coming into their mind, or in whatever possible way, they just try to get the flag of it. So they are accessing the servers, they are accessing the other services. So it's the like that we have to keep it that thing as well, that we are restricting the permission so that the challenges are not getting basically within that first challenge we can access the other as well. So we have to take care about that as well. So I really enjoyed a lot participating in a Cloud Village, and it was really nice experience.
That's great. लोगों को पार्ट और भी लेना चाहिए ऐसी जगह पे. So you achieved some of the impressive recognition, including Women's Influencer in Cloud Security Awards. Like, what are those recognition means to you, and what advice you give to other women pursuing in cybersecurity career?
Okay, so let's start with the what is what advice I would like to give. So, who even in a women or anyone getting into the cybersecurity, the one advice I would like to give that do more and more hands-on, because if you know how the things work in very deep in depth, then you will be understand the attacking and the defending sides of it. Or even if you're not into it, at least you understand the service better. So do not just read about that. Try to just create an account on AWS and just start doing it, because whatever issue basically you will face while implementing a service or creating a resource into that, that will be a learning phase for you. um so if I know that maybe in the first time you can take a 1 hour just to deploy a server, because you'll be getting a lot of error, you will do a lot of troubleshooting, look for the Stack Overflow, Google, YouTube, like how why I'm stuck or what is the error I'm getting, how to resolve that. But let the error coming, because then only you'll be understanding, you'll learn very like you'll learn that service, like, and if in case that error comes again in the future, you will be like, okay, I know this error, I know how to resolve it, and that's how you will learn. So and this is the way I have taken to learn anything, whether that was a DevSecOps, cloud security. I used to do more and more hands-on playing CTF. And then the CTF, sometimes I'm stuck with a single lab like for 2 to 3 hours, not getting away, like how to start with, or how to take a step further. Sometimes I have something in my hand, but I don't know how to use this information. So but it's okay, because at least you're learning something, even if you're not able to solve that challenge completely. But if you are in the halfway, at least you learn something. So when I got this award, I was like, I was very happy, obviously. It's like appreciating my efforts that I'm doing for myself and for the community, and I'm working hard for to get here. And it's like kind of a appreciation. I basically kind of a result. Like, okay, I have worked hard to reach here, and I'm getting some amount of result. So it's like, okay, I'm doing a right job, and I'm going in the right direction.
Great. So how any women like want to enter in different domain, and can you tell the roadmap for women's how they enter in this cyber security world?
So So first of all, cybersecurity has a lot of domains. Like it has a pen testing, it has a cloud security, DevSecOps, GRC. So there are so many things. So first of all, one has to decide like in which domain she wants to pursue. Now there are different like and the basic thing whenever you would like to start or anything, just take one course. Like if it's a cloud or if it's a DevOps. So in DevOps we have a tools like Linux is mandatory. Then you can start with Git, how the version control system works. Then there is a Terraform, Jenkins, another CI/CD pipelines like Cloud Native. You can start, you can learn that as well. Then we have a Ansible like for the automation, and then last and we have the cloud as well. So you can just take a path like starting from the Linux, then going towards the Git, and then learning about the Terraform, cloud, Ansible, monitoring solutions like Elasticsearch and the Prometheus and Grafana. That basically, if you understand these things, you're good to go. And not understand, basically, you understand in depth about these things, how these things works and how to deploy it. Have you used it before? Then you're good to go in a DevOps. And in a cloud security, you have to learn the cloud first, because without learning, just only looking into the security, that will be a challenging. Because let's say you got something but you don't know what it is, what endpoint it belongs to, or what is that access key, or what is the secret key, you don't know that. Then you have to, obviously you need to understand the service first, and then only you'll be able to define the security side of it. So take any cloud and take any course. I generally prefer the any hands-on course, because so that you can do more and more hands-on the cloud level. So take whatever cloud you are picking, just take any hands-on course and start doing it. You will find a lot of courses on the Google and the YouTube. Just go with it and start doing it. And we have a variety of, and look into security blogs. Like if I'm looking into one service, like let's say servers, then what are the misconfiguration, the vulnerability occurred in so far in this particular service and in that cloud. Look for that, understand that misconfiguration, and see if it is a misconfiguration kind of a thing, or it's a vulnerability that has been fixed by the cloud. If there is a misconfiguration, try to replicate that misconfiguration and see what are you getting the same result out of it, or is it a different one. So that's how you'll understand the cloud and services better. And that's how basically you'll do more hands-on and learn it.
So you are currently an AWS community builder, and how to become a community builder and learn AWS security and their multiple benefits.
So to become an AWS community builder, they generally have a form. So you have to follow the community builders website. You can LinkedIn, or basically you follow the website and you'll find that, okay, the forms are out. So, and you just have to fill the form, and basically you have to show what open source or what uh, basically what you have done for the community in the respect to the AWS. And the form is filled, and then they select based on the work that you have done, and then you become a part of it. For the achievement, you get to know other AWS community builders, and you basically you come to know what others are doing in respect in AWS with respect to that particular service. Let's say your knowledge, like let's say I have deployed a service, and I have looking like I've looked into it, like how it works, and okay, but let someone other is maybe someone other has another use case. They are integrating that A service with B service. So you will get to know the other use case as well, like okay, how it is getting implemented in others organization, or in the others infrastructure as well. And plus you have Cloud Academy subscription, and you get $250 credits for for an AWS account, and that is sufficient to learn in AWS account. And you have a Cloud Academy subscription, so that has a videos, and you can just go for a video, replicate the labs in your environment and learn it. And there are other benefits as well internally, like you get to know, okay, what features the services have. AWS, you get the some offers or some discounts related to the AWS reinvent as well. So there are variety of basically benefits available with Community Builder.
So this year at beside Bangalore, you launch Kubernetes Village for Kubernetes security and open source lab, and tell us in detail about these things.
Yeah, so this year I launched in Kubernetes Village. So I thought of there are so many villages, but the Kubernetes basically Kubernetes is still very new to the people, at least to the beginners and the freshers. So the my main motive was basically to knowledge or to talk more about the Kubernetes, start from the basics, because generally we are talking about the attacking and the defensive side of it, side of the Kubernetes, but we are not aware what is the basics of the Kubernetes, how it works. So this with this motive, I started this village. So that I educate more and more number of people regarding the Kubernetes, then attacking and the defending side of it, and it is open source. So we have the open source repository as well, where the labs are available. Anyone can deploy it and understand how the attacking, defending, and the auditing works in the Kubernetes environment. Because now organizations are using basically mostly organizations have infrastructure on the Kubernetes. So defending and the auditing is really important, even if you're not pen testing the Kubernetes environment and just looking the misconfigurations and the referring the CIS benchmarks only. So need to have the Kubernetes knowledge, and the container knowledge is mandatory, is required.
This year at beside Ahmedabad of EKS penetration workshop, share your experience.
So besides Ahmedabad, we did an AWS EKS workshop, and that has a structure. Like, first of all, we discuss the basics of it, like what are the components of the Kubernetes architecture of the Kubernetes, and then the misconfigurations, or how you will try to look as an attacker into the Kubernetes environment. If the application, again, we started with the application, like application is running on the Kubernetes environment, and it is we used one of the vulnerability in the Jenkins, and from there we proceed further and escalate the privileges. So that was a small introduction to the attacking scenario that we have used. And then we also we also give a demonstration of the defensive and the auditing of the Kubernetes, like how you can done it. We have variety of open source tools available. With the help of those tools, how basically how can you can integrate an environment and take leverage of to those tools that are already there without basically they are open source. So and there are many tools. So whichever is good as per your requirement or as per your infrastructure, just do a POC and start implementing that into your organization. And plus, the idea of the Kubernetes is like, again, the giving back to the community, but it went with respect to the Kubernetes this time, because we have a lot more about the cloud and the DevSecOps, but the Kubernetes we have a less amount of informations available. So if the more and more people will come and will see that, okay, this is a architecture or how the Kubernetes is actually working, they will educate more about the Kubernetes, and obviously they'll feel little ease while testing or while applying the defense strategy into their Kubernetes organization as well.
So, what are the emerging technologies and trend in cybersecurity you are more interested right now, and why?
More emerging, AI is very emerging, and how AI can be implemented with respect to the basically the to benefit the cybersecurity. That is very interesting thing that I'm looking forward currently. And I'm learning, like I'm just going through more and more about it, like how basically how efficiently we can take help of AI and can implement it to the cybersecurity, so that it will increase the efficiency of the organizations, and it will start protecting the infrastructure in a more efficient way.
आई होप आप सबको आज का पॉडकास्ट काफ़ी इन्फॉर्मेटिव, काफ़ी वैल्यूबल लगा होगा, काफ़ी कुछ जानने को मिला होगा क्यूबरनेटिस सिक्योरिटी, क्लाउड सिक्योरिटी के बारे में, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट कॉन्फ्रेंसेस कितनी इंपॉर्टेंट है उनके बारे में इन जनरल। सो अगर आपको कोई डाउट्स है, क्वेश्चंस हैं, आप नीचे कमेंट कर सकते हो। अंजलि से कनेक्ट करना, उनकी भी लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में दे रखी है, आप उनसे भी डायरेक्ट कांटेक्ट कर सकते हो। मेरे से कुछ पूछना हो, आप नीचे मेरी लिंक दे रखी है, आप वहाँ से भी मेरे से कनेक्ट कर सकते हो, और टॉपमेट की भी दे रखी है। तो चलिए फिर नेक्स्ट पॉडकास्ट में मिलते हैं, तब तक के लिए स्टे ट्यून्ड, स्टे हैप्पी।